All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition of the program. Merely Bo, the Great Z. Look at us, back in black.
Hello.
Hello, friends. Hey, we're like a month away.
From what?
Hello, friends.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Augusta. Beautiful.
Tradition unlike any other.
I enjoyed watching the players, or Bay Hill, and I'm excited for the players last week. Bay Hill was great.
NBC was all over it, too. He was really all into the Bay Hill.
A couple of sad collapses, though.
I didn't see
Lowry 2 weeks ago, and then this week, Berger was up 5. Akshay is awesome. He's very fun to watch at the golf ball, but Berger was up 5. And really, there are a few things here or there. Akshay got red hot for sure, but Berger on one hole was 120 yards out in the middle of the fairway and yanked it left until a fried egg lie in a bunker, ended up making a bogey where par should have been a birdie or a par at worst.
Yeah.
And ends up losing in a playoff hole to Akshay. It was very sad for him, good for Akshay.
That's a bigger discussion about how golf lays out its calendar, because there was the Players is this week.
Yeah, Players.
So they had moved it at one point. They moved it into May. It's always been around here, but at one point they moved it into May, hoping, and that's when the PGA was back in August, so that they would kind of have another bell cow thing. I actually preferred that. I think that to spread it out a little bit, because Bay Hill, it's not what it was when Arnold was alive.
It wasn't a great field for some reason. I mean, it was a good field. It wasn't great.
And it's got a big payday to it. It's a $20 million payday on it.
Rory got hurt. Scheffler wasn't in contention.
Yeah. And I think.
And he just had Riv, which was awesome. Like you're right. There's a lot of.
It's a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on in the sports world right now. I find that in the summer I'm looking for things. And I know you can't play these Florida tournaments in the summer, but you can play them in the late spring.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
Did you see some of the merch they're having for the TPC? Like the 17s and all the stuff about the 17th, and it's horrible. It looks like it's the worst.
Everyone's trying to do the waste management thing, aren't they?
And then now you have all these upside down letter hats, and people are all unhappy about that. And I don't know.
I don't know. I'll tell you this: like my kid,
fads are fads.
It is. Golf influencer is a massive business.
Yeah.
And
I missed my calling, I think.
NBC ordered what are the alignment sticks?
Yep.
Okay, so he ordered a carrier for the alignment sticks.
Why?
And I said, why'd you do this? I got the notification when I was in Kansas. He ordered it on Beamsy's thing, on his green card or whatever. And I'm like, what are you doing with alignment sticks? I go, I'll be honest with you. There's two of us in this conversation. One of us has covered a bunch of PGA Tour events. The other one's never been to a PGA Tour event. I've never seen anybody carrying around alignment sticks in their golf bag. I've played with good players, bad players, all of it. And he goes, well, the guys on social media do. And so all those guys. You use
those at the range.
Yeah, so I guess that's what he's going to do is like go. I don't know if he's going to put in the work along with everything else that he needs to do. I don't know how that's going to go. But yeah, he had an alignment stick.
Okay.
Bag that he had purchased. So
alignment sticks don't need their own bag. You would just put them in your golf bag when you go to the range.
You and I would agree on this. Is not surprising.
They don't need their own bag.
But the youth, well, no, it's like a carrier that goes in the golf bag. So like an alignment stick it's like a sheath. Think of it like a sword.
Okay,
that's right. Good use of funds.
All right, let's talk about the biggest news because we got to do that.
No sun or what?
We got to do that. There have been at least 6 sightings of Bigfoot in Portage County.
Well, this is Bernie's neighborhood.
From March 6th until March 9th.
Wasn't the cousin of Mo Pedman looking around for a snack?
Yeah, he's already debunked that, and I think that is hurtful.
I don't believe
these type
him.
of words that are hurtful where people would say such things that he's Bigfoot.
He doesn't have the build for it.
At least 9 feet tall.
No, he doesn't.
We've heard 10 feet tall,
Bigfoot's
9 feet tall. Running with a high speed with an impossibly long stride. Heavy rhythmic footsteps, deep vibrating grunt that preceded a forest hush. Physical evidence in the form of oversized muddy footprints were located at the scene. That's in Mantua area.
Manaway
area.
Yeah.
I feel like that should be Mantua.
I don't disagree, but it's Manaway. Yeah.
Based on what language?
I don't know.
Is that Native American?
Seemed like it might be. I don't know. I said that part in, guessing.
I feel like it seems right.
That was more of a Ron Burgundy
Chippewa.
question mark at the end of it.
Yeah.
But the first, I know it is Manaway.
Man.
Yeah.
That's
where Bernie's spread was. Remember when he'd ride the four-wheelers and all that? Was that
Manaway?
Yeah.
Oh, it's over Manaway.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. I get it. Mantua is something in literature.
You went to the private school, brother. I don't know.
I'm gonna look this up. Maybe my mom will know. What's Mantua?
You're gonna get a
Feels like it
text
should
from,
be some, like,
from
Shakespeare
Nana
or something.
quickly. I'm guessing if
Yeah.
there is some of that.
Anyway,
I mean, I think
there's a lot of-
66% of the chance that it's real, that there is a Bigfoot
I've long
loping
been a
around.
believer in Bigfoot.
It feels like a long way to come from the Pacific Northwest. I wonder how he traversed.
Yeah, it's a good question.
How did he get there? Amtrak?
Maybe through Canada. Maybe went up through Canada, came down.
It's a long ways, brother.
Well, yeah, but he's got a long stride, and he's been walking for hundreds of years.
We don't know that.
We don't know that he isn't.
What's the life expectancy on a Bigfoot?
How would we know? We haven't found any Bigfoot carcasses, so maybe eternal.
Just one guy, one mythical creature that's been alive for hundreds and hundreds of years?
I wanted to be Harry and the Hendersons when I was a kid. I wanted Bigfoot to come
It's a
live with
great,
me.
fun movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Really
it was
fun
It
movie.
was a TV show as well.
I do not remember how it ends. I remember
I think
the government
positively.
tries to get him, but I can't remember.
I think
what
he just like, nah, man. Let's go on vacation.
did they let him free? And
Yeah.
is that how it goes?
Yeah,
Yeah. Was that a Charles Grodin?
wasn't it?
Lithgow.
Yeah, Lithgow.
Yeah,
Lithgow's
in
the
the
dad.
mix. I feel like Grodin might be in it too.
He should be. I feel like I could see him be curmudgeonly about having his neighbor palling around with Bigfoot.
Has he ever been non-curmudgeon-y?
No,
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me see if I can get a
I picked up a wine. the other day.
1987 on Harry and the
Jeez
Hendersons.
Louise.
Holy
I picked up a
cow.
wine that I called the curmudgeon. My dad said that I had to drink that with him, which I thought was appropriate.
He said well, at least he owns it.
Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows how that goes.
What did he say? He said something that was actually pretty funny. He said,
No Charles Grodin.
everyone eventually discovers what they do best. That's what he said.
Pedro.
So that's good. I've always believed in Bigfoot and the Yeti. Like, my
Well, if
favorite
you're going to
thing.
believe in one, you might as well have them both.
My favorite thing was, and there's so much lore to the Yeti and the Himalayas.
What do you feel about Loch Ness?
It's hard for me to think that there's a dinosaur, like a Diplodocus,
Sure.
just hanging around in a lake that nobody sees.
Yeah.
You know, and you could say, well, to me,
The more confined space, I think, makes it
Right.
harder to explain.
like you'd be able to go through there with
Throw a
sonar,
scuba.
throw a submarine in there, and let's
Yeah.
see what's going on in there. Like
Yeah.
the sonar, we'd get imaging. Whereas you're talking about Bigfoot, he could be anywhere in the great wilderness.
Yeah, it's a vast expanse.
And when you fly, as people are wont to do from time to time,
Mm-hmm.
let's just say you fly from Ohio to San Francisco, you realize pretty quickly that the majority of that flight's over absolutely nothing in terms of civilization.
True, but the majority of that flight is also not only over a grass,
Arid, desert,
all of that. It's really that
flat.
It's really when you hit those Rocky Mountains,
Yeah.
Lloyd, that you really get the opportunity to see. Now, this is where you could really have a hard time finding
Of
somebody.
course, sure.
Yeah. But drop somebody off in the Bob Marshall Wilderness, you're going to have a Bigfoot disappear anytime he wants.
anytime he wants. And then the Yeti is in the Himalayas,
Yeah, and that's even.
which I like to say it that way. I know you can go both. You can go Himalaya. I like Himalaya.
I like Himalaya. I don't have a problem with it.
That's how many of the great explorers called
Sounds
it.
like the name of a pepper.
Ghost
Yeah,
is the name of pepper. Carolina Reaper
also true.
is the name of pepper. We could do that for the bell. Red bell,
Red bell.
green bell,
You get a lot of peppers.
yellow bell, orange bell. Orange bell's a nice bell pepper. Doesn't get enough run.
I never
Good
understood that.
inherent sweetness to
As a
it.
kid, we were a green pepper family.
They're the worst of the peppers.
Well, of course, we were fiscally responsible
Yeah.
on the Ponderosa. I mean, my mom wasn't,
Habanero pepper.
but also pretty remote, so it's
Yeah.
not like you had a big pepper option
Sure,
at the butcheries.
sure.
So, yeah, it was rare that you would get a yellow or orange or red pepper.
Yeah.
because that's where your
Oh,
flavor
man,
is.
yeah, sure.
That's a sweet spot.
I did love the Matterhorn ride at Disneyland as a child. That was like my favorite ride ever. And those Abominable Snowmen, they were my favorite. And then now Everest Expedition, also great.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Those are good.
There
Hey,
it
we
is.
have some action since we got off the air.
You and I?
No, the team. Per Jordan Schultz,
Oh,
Quincy
that's
Williams
nice.
comes into the
Yeah.
mix. His 8th season in the NFL, spent the last 2 seasons of his career with the Jaguars, next 5 with the Jets. First team AP All-Pro with the Jets in 2023, where his position coach was none other than Mike Rutenberg. And as it may turn out, Mike Rutenberg, at his press conference last week,
Mention him.
mentioned him.
Said that they connected on the heart. They connected
we
on
have it.
football. Oh, let's take a listen.
Life is about relationships, and that's been my approach to find out what's important to the players. I go to Quincy Williams. I was in Jacksonville with Quincy, and we drafted him. Quincy and I connected from the heart, from the start. It went heart to football. We spent a lot of time on our hearts and then a lot of time on football. And it just goes back to finding what's important to everybody, finding out their why, sharing my why. Maybe their why is football. Maybe their why is a hobby. Maybe their why is their family. And if we can find something to connect, it'll always come back to the heart. And when that happens, in my experiences, it's unbreakable bond. When things get hard, you thrive in those moments.
And you also, when it comes time and you lose somebody like Devin Bush, you then say, okay, who do you know?
Yeah. Who do you know that has that skill set? Who
Yep.
do you know that is fast? Who do you know that can play in coverage? Who do you know that can be an add-on blitzer effectively? Quinton Williams had at least 2 sacks in 5 straight seasons. He's averaged over 100 tackles over the last 5 seasons. This past year, 83, which is his lowest since 2020. And, he did the new system there with Aaron Glenn. That was not the system he was most comfortable with. He ended up getting benched in the middle of the season. But when you look at what he did in this system, in 2023, first team All-Pro, 139 tackles, 15 tackles for loss. He had 3 straight seasons where he had more than 100 tackles and more than 12 or more tackles for loss with at least 2 sacks in each of those seasons. Over the last 3 years, he can play in coverage, 21 passes defensed over the last 3 years as well. So, and 6 forced fumbles. So this is a productive player, incredibly quick, 5'11", 230, maybe right around 6 feet. When he decides, when he is decisive, he is fast to the ball, makes plays behind the line of scrimmage. He is in many ways going to bring a very similar skill set to what Devin Bush did for the Cleveland Browns. He will do so in a way that may look at times like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, really long arms, kind of lean, but just can fly around the field. And so he'll be that will linebacker for the Browns. And, Mike Rudy, who I got a chance to meet today, by the way. I know we're going to talk with him soon on Cleveland Browns Daily, but I got a chance to meet him today. What a great guy. Full of energy. Could not have been nicer, honestly, to me. Very inviting. Said
That's cool.
So it was just a brief talk, and I was like, all right. He's got some Tarv energy to him.
Yeah.
Which I say with the highest, mean that with the highest regard and compliment. This is, you hate to see Devin Bush go. You understand, when you see some guys who do depart here and are going to situations that they think, maybe are closer to a Super Bowl than we are, or money's better. Those are the 2 reasons guys typically leave.
Yeah.
But to be able to replace him quickly with somebody that knows this position, knows this defense, knows this scheme, and knows our defensive coordinator well, I think is a very, very good thing. So we went out there, saved a little bit of money in doing so. Obviously got a little bit older, not much. He's 29 years old. Devin, I think, is 27. You wanted to see Devin Bush stay here. I'm not trying to say anything different than that. We all wanted to see Devin Bush stay here. I do think that big picture, he is a good replacement, given that Devin Bush is not going to be here. Somebody who knows the defense, knows the coordinator, and has played at a high level. He's been a first-team All-Pro. When you've been a first-team All-Pro, you played at a very, very high level.
Do you know where he went to college?
I do.
Do you know who was there at the same time?
On the football team?
Nope.
On the basketball team?
Yep.
Yeah, that's I figured it had to be a basketball player. No, I feel like I should.
You will, as soon as I say it.
The G-Man knows.
Of course the G-Man knows. Yeah, John Morant. He was at Murray State at the same time John Morant was at Murray State.
Now
I wonder if there was a good buddy of mine who was the head coach at Valdosta State.
Your connections are just incredible.
I think maybe they just missed each other. So Quincy was at he would have had him for 1 year. He probably recruited him to Murray. Quincy was at Murray State from 14 to 18. A buddy of mine who I knew when he was I haven't kept in touch with him in years, but was pretty good buddies with him when I was down in Florida, is a guy named Chris Hatcher, who was at Valdosta State. He then went to Georgia Southern, and then he was at Murray State for Quincy's first year at Murray State and probably recruited him to Murray State. So
how about it?
Football's a small world, man.
Yes, it is.
It is a very, very small world. Rich Cimini going to join us, by the way, in about 5 minutes on Quincy Williams and Mike Rutenberg and all of it. A couple other things from this morning. Greg Newsome, our old buddy, expected to sign with the Giants,
yep.
Meaning that the way that this all worked out, we acquired Tyson Campbell, 2026-7. Originally acquired in this deal was packaged to the addition of Joe Tryon-Shrink in exchange for a 2000. Greg Newsome's going to be a Giant.
There it is.
Right?
Yep.
And that's it. That's the headline. And Tyson Campbell's good. In the past hour, we've had these. Geno Smith in a 2026 7th to the Jets, so he comes full circle on that. I don't know necessarily what they're doing. Geno, as we know, is tough as nails. He'll throw it all over the place, so this will keep Garrett Wilson happy, I would think. But just an odd setup for them because you got 5 1s. I would assume over the next 2 drafts, you want the one in 2027 to be number 1 overall if you're the Jets. Is Geno Smith the perfect quarterback for that? Where he'll stand in there, he'll throw it around, but you also don't want him winning much.
No, I don't think you do, but I go back to this. Aaron Glenn is operating with completely different goals than I would think that the organization or perhaps its fan base is viewing this. You don't bring in Geno Smith, and yes, you could say, well, wait, Nathan, Geno Smith is quarterback team that has the number 1 pick of the draft. True, but obviously he's bringing him in because he thinks that he's going to be able to win in the veterans that they're bringing all these like old dudes that are going to be able to cobble together. I think in Aaron Glenn's mind, a 7-win season that maybe saves his job.
It seems like to me.
Yeah.
Why would you allow
Rich.
it?
I have no idea. We'll ask Rich and see what Rich has said. But
you
yes,
had mentioned this yesterday. Romeo Doubs, what's he going to get? Well, reportedly 4 years and $70 from the New England Patriots.
I think that is a steal. I think that is, by today's standards, I think that's a great deal. And I think when you compare that to what Wan'Dale Robinson got in Tennessee, I think Romeo Doubs is a better receiving prospect than Wan'Dale Robinson.
On every level.
On every level.
Found a Michael Irvin rookie card yesterday when I was going through some stuff.
That's fantastic.
Which was pretty cool to see.
How could it not be?
Yeah. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospital, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. As I have just mentioned, Rich Cimini going to join us, our buddy, ESPN NFL Nation reporter on the Jets, on Quincy Williams, on Mike Rutenberg, and now on the Geno Smith signing as well. What exactly are the Jets doing? We will get to all of that coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, time down on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Art Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it Twisted Cleveland. He is Rich Cimini, great friend of the program, ESPN NFL Nation reporter on the Jets, and he joins us there. He's got a million things going on, so we'll make this quick, my friend. Let's start with Quincy Williams. Browns signed him yesterday. Obviously fell out of favor a little bit with Aaron Glenn, but when Mike Rutenberg, our current defensive coordinator, was there, he was a first-team All-Pro. What do you make of Quincy? What's left in the tank?
Yeah, Quincy's he's still a good player. I think you nailed it. You just said that it fell out of favor a little bit. He wasn't really comfortable in the Jets' defensive scheme last year, and his production, I mean, it looks okay on paper, but he wasn't quite the same player as he was in previous years. Now, he did miss 4 games last year with a shoulder injury, but he actually got benched briefly for about a half a game, and he was upset by that. I don't think he saw eye to eye with the Jets coaching staff. It wasn't Aaron Glenn. It was mostly this defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes, and their linebacker coach, both of whom are gone now. And I think it was probably best for both sides to get a fresh start.
Rich, when you look at that 2023 season when he was a first-team All-Pro, obviously our defensive coordinator now, Mike Rutenberg, was his linebacker coach at the time. What do you remember about Mike Rutenberger, and what if we get the best of Quincy Williams, you get that year, what kind of a player are we getting?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a tremendous success story when you look at his career. You know, a third-round pick by Jacksonville, he gets cut. I think it was when the Urban Meyer regime came in, and he didn't fit their scheme, so they cut him. And the Jets claimed him on waivers, and we're all like, okay, they just did that to appease his brother, Quinnen Williams. This is just a brother thing. They're going to just toss him a bone. But you know what? He got into the starting lineup pretty quickly, and he improved so much over his career. You know, that first year, he was just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. He wasn't really playing within the scheme, but you could just see the sideline-to-sideline speed. That's what he brings. He is one of the fastest linebackers that I've seen. You could look at all the GPS tracking. I think that would probably confirm that. And he gradually got better and better, and then he finally made that first-team All-Pro, which, he got a contract extension and then went out and made first-team All-Pro and had, some really good years for the Jets. This year it just didn't click for a variety of reasons. But I think you're getting a good player. I think Rudy will tailor the scheme. They're going to put him in good spots. Let's put it that way. I think the Jets tried to make him more of a downhill linebacker as opposed to a sideline-to-sideline guy, and he's not a downhill linebacker. He's only 5'10", if that, and he's about 230 pounds. He's a smaller type guy. You got to get him moving horizontally, east-west, and I think Rudy will do that.
You mentioned Rudy a couple of times. Mike Rutenberg, our new defensive coordinator over here. He had a meeting with the media last week. Obviously, you know him pretty well. What do you make of this opportunity for him, and what do you think he does with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity for him. He's paid his dues as a position coach. He left Saleh to take this job, to get the bump up, to be a coordinator. We didn't have a lot of exposure to Rudy, because he was a linebackers coach with the Jets, but, their defense was really good under Saleh. They had a couple of years there where they were, in the top 5 in defense and scoring and yards allowed. And a lot of it was because of their linebacker play. He had a couple of good ones. He had Quincy and he had C.J. Mosley for a couple of years. The C.J., unfortunately got old and had a neck injury and had to retire, but he was a tremendous stabilizing force in that locker room. And I know I've talked to Quincy a number of times and how much TJ meant to him and meant to that group. So Rudy was surrounded by some real good players, and Rudy was responsible for, partly responsible, him and Saleh, for converting Jamie Sherwood into a safety, from safety to linebacker. He was a college safety at Auburn. The Jets drafted him in the 5th round in 2022. And he was really completely out of his elements that first year as a linebacker. But they gradually, they got him bigger, and they got him playing linebacker, and to the point where the Jets gave him a 3-year, $45 million contract extension last year. And I think if you asked Jamie Sherwood, he would say a lot of that. He's entitled a lot of gratitude toward Rudy for that.
Yeah, we're excited to have Rudy. A lot of good energy, and we'll see how that translates. Obviously, coming into a pretty good system or a pretty good situation where we have a lot of talent on that defensive side of the ball. Quincy Williams now adding to that, replacing the departed Devin Bush. I want to ask you about the Jets. What do you kind of make of what the Jets are doing right now? Because they're bringing in a lot of older guys who have been productive in this league to try to maybe be a little bit of a stopgap here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you look at it from like 30,000 feet and you say, what the heck are they doing? I mean, they're not a win now team. I think we can all agree on that. I mean, they're 3-14 last year and they still, have major questions. So they're not a win now team, but yet they're going about it as if they're a couple of players away by plugging in some veteran guys like Demario Davis and Minka Fitzpatrick. And today they traded for Geno Smith. So you're looking at it and say, what the hell are they doing? But I kind of get what they're doing on defense in particular. They needed to change the personality of their defense. There were a lot of guys last year. There was no leadership on that defense. There was no accountability. There was a lot of lack of discipline. They just didn't have a guy who could kick butt, and get everybody in line. And now they do. They have Demario Davis coming in, who's really one of the great leaders I've been around in football. Of course, he's been with the Jets twice before. And then they get Minka Fitzpatrick. And so I think they'll be better from a character standpoint and a leadership standpoint. The Geno Smith move today is just sheer desperation. There's no other way to say it. I mean, there's just not a lot of quarterbacks out there on the market who are starting guys. They traded for him because they were afraid he might sign elsewhere when he gets cut tomorrow. So I never would have imagined Geno back in New York. It was a very turbulent time about a decade ago. It's a very unlikely football reunion, to say the least. But here he is. He's back. He hasn't played well in a couple of years, so I'm not sure where this is going to go. I think it's really, like I said, a desperation move.
Rich, we know you got to run. You got to get out of here. Last thought, from 30,000 feet, as you mentioned, from my vantage point, I go, boy, 5 first-round picks. If I'm the Jets, if I'm the fans, I want to make sure I'm picking number 1 in 2027 in that draft. Where is the fan base with where this team is now and where it's going?
Yeah, I think it's split. There's this. It's just weird. It's going to be a weird dynamic all year because look, the Jets are trying to thread a needle here. The coach has got to win some games this year. If Aaron goes 3-14 again, he's getting kicked out the door. So he's got to win, 6 or 7 or 8 games just to show progress. So he's trying to win now. I think if you ask the fan base, I'd say 50% of them would say, I don't want to win now. I want to get the first pick in the draft and take Arch Manning or Dante Moore or one of those guys that's supposedly going to be a loaded quarterback class. And so, because even though you have 3 first-round picks in 27, that doesn't guarantee you to get to number 1. What if the team who's picking first, like this year with the Raiders, you could offer them the sun and the moon. They're not moving. So they're going to take the quarterback. So it's the Jets are trying to do something. It's a very delicate balance. I think half the fan base is thrilled that they got Geno Smith because they think he's a terrible quarterback and he'll get him the first pick in the draft next year. And the other half is thinking that maybe they could squeeze a halfway decent year out of him and get back to being a 500 team. I don't know. It's a confusing time around the Jets.
Rich, you're the best. We know you're busy. We'll let you go. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye now.
There's something he said there in that answer that deserves a little bit of a bigger examination. We can do that, get into the most recent mock draft from Field Yates coming up as well. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly. Score big with Howard Hanna, official real estate partner of your Cleveland Browns, is Northeast Ohio's #1 real estate provider. They're dedicated to helping you make the best move. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns to explore your winning options today. Rich said something there that was pretty interesting about the needle that the Jets are trying to thread. And this is why NFL team building can be so difficult, because you have to have alignment from the top all the way through football ops, through coaching, through all of it. And you have to be able to withstand the suffering of losing. If you do so, it can net results.
For sure.
Sometimes, though, even with all of the right plan, it doesn't.
Yep.
And when I was listening to him talk about the Jets, I look at the Jets from 30,000 feet, and if I'm Woody Johnson, I say, I don't say this publicly, but I say I really don't care if we win in 2026, because what I want is you to land 2 blue-chip prospects with our two first-round picks in 2026, and then I need 3 in 2027, and one of the 3 in 2027 better be the face of this franchise.
Yes.
And I better make sure that I get the pick of that quarterback class. I don't want to have to – Rich made a great point about, like, Mendoza. This notion about, we're stockpiling assets so we can trade up to get a quarterback. No one ever trades a quarterback, the ability to draft a quarterback. If you don't have one, you don't already have one, you do not trade out of one if there is a draft that has the dude in it.
Well, you need to have a situation like the Bears had Justin Fields.
Yes.
Or the Titans had just drafted Marcus Mariota.
Yep.
And so the Rams are able to get Jared Goff. You need that situation. Now, I think history would show in the case of both Marcus Mariota and in the case of Justin Fields that you would not do that. You would say, no, let me just take – if I think this guy's better, let me just take this guy, and I'm not going to trade out. Now, from the Bears' standpoint, though, it also worked out great.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, they hit –
but you couldn't count
that
on
franchise,
Carolina then giving you the #1 pick the next year.
No,
but
that franchise has probably had the worst. I mean, they've had among the worst. Now, they have a Super Bowl championship in '85, but you want to talk about missing on picks. They've had a lot of that in their history. Not the worst, but it's in the vicinity. If you go back in our lifetime, think about all the misses that they've had, a ton at quarterback, all of it. And somehow the timing was right where they still weren't all the way sold. They weren't all the way out on Fields.
Yep.
They had seen enough that they wanted to see more.
Yep.
And the bounty they got back from Carolina was so immense. And then what you didn't realize, of course, was that no one would have ever guessed that Carolina was going to be the worst team in football.
And give you the first pick right back again.
Right back.
Yeah.
And then it was a situation where if you're them, you're like, well, now I got 5 years of Caleb Williams versus having to make a decision on paying Justin Fields or not.
Yep.
Williams was a much cleaner prospect than Fields was coming out of college, even though Fields, was thought well of coming out of college. Not like Caleb. Like Caleb was the one, and that was it. And so now all of a sudden the Bears are set up for the next 10 years, really, to be contenders in the NFC, legitimate contenders in the NFC. But if I'm Woody Johnson, that's where my head's at. I am not in the business of trying to win 6 games with a bunch of veterans. Like, I don't understand it.
As a team that's kind of lived through that, the hard part about that is not going to be the mindset of any coach.
No.
And you can look at, Kevin Stefanski, and I don't know if we ever even talked about this, but there was Kevin Stefanski on Pardon My Take said that he was told the Thursday before the season finale that he was going to be let go at the end of the year.
That's confirmed.
No, you and I have not talked about that.
No, that was at the Combine.
At the Combine, he said that with Big Cat and PFT.
And then was I off? How did I not?
You were off because it was that Thursday. It was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The end of the Combine week.
End of the Combine week. Yeah.
Anyway, and he still went out there and coached his team to win. Lovie Smith knew he was going to be gone in Houston.
Yeah.
And he went out there and coached his team to win. And now,
but those two both could have been out of spite too,
for sure. But I'm
you
just
know
saying,
what I mean?
if you go back to 2016,
now you're on. Yeah.
With us, like I don't think Hugh Jackson. I know Hugh Jackson at the time didn't understand really what was going on.
Yeah.
In terms of he was coming in here in his mind like to win. What do you mean we want to do all these things and then be able to win. Not that we were actively not trying to win, but that
No.
you're threading a needle. You're trying to accumulate assets. You're trying to get yourself positioned to get those people that are the franchise changers. And with the way that the NFL is set up, the only way to get a franchise changer is to hit on drafting a quarterback at any point in the draft. But typically, as we've gone through ad nauseum, that comes from the top of the first round.
Yeah.
The only way to pick at the top of the first round is to be bad.
Yep.
Or to have made a trade with a team that ends up being bad.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it. Or the top guys do not become available. They just don't. They don't get traded. The Browns had, because of off-the-field issues, an opportunity to get who was at the time a top quarterback in terms of performance, Deshaun Watson. Now, that just hasn't manifested itself. But that's really what it is. So if you have an ownership and a fan base that really is like, well, certainly an ownership, because the fan base can say that they don't want to win and we want to get to next year, but it's miserable going through it.
Dude, you and I have talked about this, and it's easy for a fan base to say, let's make sure we're picking number one overall. But when you go to the stadium on a Sunday, they're not rooting against the home team. They're rooting for wins.
Yes.
You've been in that stadium. I've been in that stadium where you're big picture, because you can't help it. This is what we do. We're prognosticating. All right, what's a better – I'd rather be picking number one in this draft than 6.
Yep.
Like, that's just it. You would. And so the reality is that, but as you're sitting there, and a lot of those fans are thinking they have the same information we do, you know that when it comes down to it, once the season is lost, it's better to lose than to win, unless you have a young team that you're trying to build character and you're trying to build culture and all of those things. Then like for us in 18 with Bake, his rookie year, like the last 6-7 games of that season were instrumental in building momentum for what should have happened in 19. It didn't, but that was critical in that moment. That was a critical time. Now, if you think about the people who are in the arena, if you think people who go down to the stadium and sit there in December, they want to go home happy, having money well spent to watch a win.
Yes.
Even though the smarter play is to not.
Yes.
In many instances. Once you're not in the playoffs, what's the point of chasing? But then you and I come on into Victory Monday and we're like, God, that was fun. It's fun to win. So when Rich said that, and I thought the number is the correct number. He said about 50-50. Half the fans are saying, what are we doing? The other half just wants to win some games.
100%.
It's really tough.
It's hard. I do think it's easier to rationalize like towards the end of a season that has gone away to say, okay, let's just – but that's not – the players don't play to lose.
No.
You risk way too much. You're risking significant injury. Like we love Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and it appears that his career ended in an instant. You know, you hope that's not the case, but that's what it appears right now. That can happen in any game, whether it's a game that you're going out there trying to let's just get through it and lose. When you don't play hard, that's how people with football players. So that's when you do get hurt. You get hurt playing hard, obviously, as we know that as well. It's not a game that lends itself to that. Basketball, guys that go through the motions, collect their stats, and just like let it go.
Yeah.
Football's not like that. And so it's so easy to say in a simulation where you can just be like, sim to next season. All right, we're going to tank this season, sim to next season. Now we got Arch Manning. But there's a lot of pain that goes along the way trying to do it. And Aaron Glenn, he's probably waited a long time to be a head coach. He feels like he got embarrassed last year.
Yeah.
Has fired everybody around him. Mm-hmm. And now he knows it's sink or swim, and he's been able to, and good for him, I guess, convince a front office that this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring in all these old guys who are pretty good that we can, cobble together a winning team.
We're going to be competitive.
We're certainly going to try.
Here's the other thing on that, as you were talking about the players, even the ones who are long-term invested, I don't think they think beyond the season they're in, the moment they're in, the game they're in.
I don't think beyond the week, right?
No, they're not thinking about, like, they're out there surviving. This is a collision sport. It's not a contact sport. It's a collision sport.
Yep.
You're every single time that there is a play, it might be your last. You don't ask Jeremiah, to your point. And you don't know when it's all going to go away. And so they're not thinking, they just want to feel good on a Sunday and do their job well. So it goes back to, something that I think the NFL ought to look into. I know you're against it, but I do think a draft lottery would be a beneficial thing for the league. I think it'd be fun for starters to have one, a weighted lottery. And I do think that it would keep this it would minimize this a little bit. Now, as I say this, I acknowledge that the NBA right now has a draft lottery, and this is this might be the best NBA draft since 2003, the LeBron draft, the talent that's in it. And it's very possible that there are upwards of 6 or 7 teams in that league who are actively tanking for better odds. So it doesn't eliminate it at all. But I also think basketball and football are they're a little apples avocados in the standpoint of the physical toll that it takes with basketball. I don't know if I don't know if the lottery would fix it or not.
Here's my biggest issue with the lottery. And this is going to be, you can go ahead and I'll be, when Bill Simmons' conspiracy, Nate.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
yeah,
this is a league that's purpose is to make money, and clearly business is good. Salary caps we talked about is going up and up and up. You cannot convince me. I will not be convinced. You can try. I won't be convinced unless you are actually someone that was in that room, and then we could verify the veracity of your statements. You cannot convince me that these lotteries happen in a above board manner. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but you cannot convince me Patrick Ewing just happened to end up in New York. You can't convince me LeBron James just happened to end up here in Cleveland. Like, they are making
it just happened.
It's a business.
Why do you think my kid's buying every set of basketball cards on the planet right now? Cooper Flag. You're going to trade Luke at LA, and Cooper Flag's going to magically. And they didn't have the best odds. Oh, God, no. They weren't even that. They were so competitive.
So to me, that's why you can't do it. Because ultimately, they're going to put those things where they think they're best for business.
Yeah.
I think that's just the reality of the situation. There are cases where maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA sent Zion Williamson to New Orleans and John Morant to Memphis. And so there are examples of, this isn't probably where we'd ideally like them to be. But, yeah, I think your overall point is on point.
And I think the NFL, it is too big of money. It is too big a business. The temptation could be too great.
What if there was a lottery among, let's say there were 3 teams, 3 and 14, lottery those 3?
Like what I would want, because we do, everything's a TV show now, right?
Yeah.
I'm being dead serious. I would want there to be this giant vat, okay?
Yep.
And they say, this team gets this many balls, this team, all the way through.
Yep.
And literally live on TV, you watch them and you had to count
them.
Okay, there's this ball. Look, here it's in. So it's above board. You swirl this thing around.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah.
And pull the ball out live on TV. Not somebody comes out and hands out an envelope from behind some closed doors. Nothing.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
If you do that, then
stuff,
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But I want to watch. I want
to see it.
Here from Beechwood Dental. Maybe you know that your mouth.
This is what I'm talking about. The conspiracy. They want this silenced.
What?
The NFL wants this silenced. They don't.
So I think you solved it. Before we were so rudely interrupted by our own undoing.
We don't even know what was there. We don't know if we're being silenced.
But I think
we know if we're being silenced.
I think
Wonderful.
You nailed it. That solves it. I'm with you on that. You went 1-16. You have 10 balls. Count them. Here's 10. That.
Boom. And
you went this. Here's 9. Here's 8. Count them. Pop them out. The end. Live. Let's go. I'm in.
All on it's all TV shows anyway. Like
That's all it is. Can you imagine?
You could have like celebrity.
Imagine if we had like
I need
an
to
NFL
rephrase that. I was about to say something that was not going to go well.
I could tell where you're going. Can you imagine if you had an NFL draft lottery before the combine? TV show?
Yeah, it would be
Come on.
awesome.
It'd be a bonanza.
Of course.
Do it
but
your way.
It's got to be that
So
way.
you're coming around. You just
Full
want it all.
disclosure.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I can do that. I'll work on my people.
And it needs to be still heavily weighted. Like, it needs to be.
Well,
Like, to me, if you're the worst, you still should have like a 50% chance.
but if you're only the worst by one game, then I don't think that. If you're 2-15 and the other one's 3-14.
To me, like, if you're like 10th, you get like a ball.
Okay, that's fine. But like, there's not much of a difference.
So fine, 50, 48. But then all of a sudden you have to do the math's got to be like the teams that are okay. Then maybe the 3 bottom teams should have 2/3 of the balls, and then you can figure out after those. If you're fourth,
Well,
sorry.
in that
like
case,
at some
though,
point, you have
that
to
would
have a
really
cutout.
stink for us because
Some point you have to
we're
have a
picking
cutout.
6 and it's one game.
So then the next 3 would get of the remaining 33%. They would get 25%,
yeah.
and then down the line. It's like anything. You got to have a cutoff at somewhere.
It's gotta
Pretty
end at
soon the
some
college
point,
football playoffs can be 88 teams. Like at some point, like sorry, you're team 89. Sorry about it.
Yeah.
Hey, the good news is I think all this news today crashed the internet.
There
We've
you go.
re-signed Tevin Jenkins.
There you go. There you go.
All right, and Adam Schefter. So there's news. Adam Schefter, lots of nuggets on the Pat McAfee show today. He said, number one, about us, there are people out there who believe Deshaun Watson is going to be starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns on opening day. About Brian Thomas, why don't you just give me a go ahead and kick me? He says, in fact, they are not interested. The Jags are not at all interested in trading Brian Thomas. That is fake news.
Do you read anything into the Jenkins re-signing with Joel?
No, I think
those are two totally
he's going to be
separate operations.
the swing anyway.
Swing. Okay. Field Yates with a quick top 10 mock draft into free agency. Not really many changes here. The only thing that kind of jumps out is the Buckeyes go 3, 4, 5. Reese 3 to the Cardinals. Tate 4 to the Titans, and the Giants with Caleb Downs at 5. I'm gonna have to get used to saying this guy's name. Say it out loud so that then I'll never mess it up again.
For which one?
The tackle.
Maui Noah.
Maui Noah. Francis
Maui Noah.
Maui Noah from the.
It's kind of like Mantua.
A little bit like Manaway.
That's right.
Except there's not even an N in the name.
Yeah, it's weird. That's yeah. Maui Noah.
There's no
The G's and
W
N.
in. There's no W in. What do you call it?
Manaway.
There's no W in there.
No, there's not. No, there's not. Yeah.
It's also like Russia being called Rushi here in Ohio too. Like
We do a lot of those. There's
It's like
Yeah.
in New York where they
There's a
call it
Rushi,
Houston
Ohio,
House.
but
there's
it's
a
spelled
Rushi,
Russia.
Ohio, and it's spelled Russia.
yes,
I think that's a Cold War thing, don't you think?
Probably.
They were like, yeah, we don't want to.
Probably.
We don't want that.
We're going to
affiliation.
change the way we pronounce
It is
pronounce this.
interesting though. If you have a town here that's spelled like the town of Mantua
Manaway.
from Romeo and Juliet,
Yeah.
like how does that not?
Yep.
I would imagine it feels like likely that predates Manaway.
I would say. Yeah.
So how does that happen?
Man,
Way.
just out here trying to get to 5 o'clock, brother. That's a heavy one. Manaway.
Yeah, why?
Mantua?
Who's the person that founded Manaway, and why have they called it?
I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Ohio
I
Historical.
bet young Gabriel knows.
He'll get to the bottom of it. Rounding out the top 10, the Commies with Jeremiah Love. That would make a lot of sense for them at 7 based on what they've done in free agency,
Sure.
and that'd be a nice fit for them. Sonny Styles to the Saints at number 8.
To replace Demario Davis?
Absolutely. Mansour Delane, the corner out of LSU to the Chiefs. So now they can do this because they've already addressed everything else.
Yep, and this replaces the corner they just traded.
Yep. And then Reuben Bain to the Bengals at 10. So that would replace Hendrickson, theoretically.
Oh, what do you mean they got Boye Mafe?
You know, you need one. Yeah, and they have Shamar Stewart, too, who they just drafted last year. So, all right, there you go. We're going to have a little fun here in the final hour of the program. A Cleveland Browns Daily fan vote bracket will go around the sports world. This is your weekend in review, right? Because we didn't have time for it yesterday. So
Yeah, give or take. We've taken a few things out.
All right, so we'll get into all of that. It's coming up in the second hour. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly. For the ultimate Browns gear, head to the Browns Pro Shop, a Fanatic experience right next to Huntington Bank Field. Jerseys, hats, hoodies, collectibles, exclusive merch you're not going to find anywhere else. Shop in-store or online at shop.clevelandbrowns.com. The Browns Pro Shop, official merch for true Browns fans. All right. It is March. We're going to have a bracket.
That's right.
This is the CBD fan vote bracket. We're going to do this weekly. Is that the plan?
That's our game plan.
All right. We're going to do this weekly.
By the way, as I watch the IT people run back and forth, that pretty much verifies what's going on in our building right now from an internet standpoint. I'm like,
Strong.
all right, great. It's not just limited to in here. Let's hope it's all
Panic
on fire
everywhere.
and burning.
Panic everywhere.
Panic in here, too.
Yeah, sure, Kev. You're hanging. I mean, you're doing the best you can, buddy. This week's topper in honor of free agency, best Browns offseason acquisition since returning in 1999. We will determine the seeding. We have 12 players, 4 buys. The first round will be made live when seeding is determined. All right. So
How do we define best?
I know it. That's where I'm going right away. This is going to be really tricky.
How do we? I think to me, it's most exciting.
So I think there's 2 silos you can put these in.
To me, it's about
it
like
can
the
either
buzz.
be the buzz when acquired, or it can be, boy, that was a great signing. And in fact, I think you can look at the 2 LSU receivers we had. The buzz, I mean, there was certainly juice for Jarvis, absolutely. Like you knew at the time, he had accumulated more receptions than anybody in NFL history to start a career. Yep. So he was actually incredibly productive at Miami. And then I think he is as responsible as anyone for flipping the culture in this building. And you think about the contagious line from Hard Knocks, all that went with that. We saw his leadership every day. Like, he held people accountable. Like, he was a one-man culture tornado. But Odell, the acquisition of Odell Beckham Jr. felt in the moment like that was the final piece to a Super Bowl.
Cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Like
number 1 podcast in the world, you and I, on phones for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's right. It was riveting.
It was riveting.
It was.
I think it just needs
So I think that's really
the problem is if it's on buzz, that's going to win.
Yeah.
He's a 1 seed, but I think he's unbeatable.
Yeah, so I think
But I kind of think it should be ranked on buzz.
so maybe it's
Can you factor in everything or no?
if you factor in everything, then I think Odell is like I mean,
Jarvis,
factoring in anything makes it very I think Jarvis is the 1 seed if you factor in everything then. If you think about the acquisition, time of acquisition, and then what he brought while he was here, to me he feels like the 1 seed. Of my time here, he's a 1 seed.
I can't argue with that.
I mean, it doesn't matter if he's a 1 or a 2. It really doesn't matter because they're going to be the top seeds on the other sides of the brackets. So to me, Odell is a 1. Jarvis,
So Amari wasn't Amari a trade?
yeah.
Oh, this is best off-season acquisition.
Odell was a trade too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Odell's the 1. Jarvis is the 2. I think. Beyond that,
yeah. How do you do that? How do you factor in?
so they're on opposite sides of the bracket, which is all that matters.
Don't forget,
to me.
didn't Dorsey go, he went full Doris on a Friday night. It was MAC tournament. He got Demarius Randall for Deshaun Kaiser out of Green Bay.
Yeah.
He got Landry, and I feel like he made a 3rd trade there as well on that Friday night. It all happened on a Friday.
Yeah, I wasn't doing this at that time, but I do remember being like, wow,
They
that's
were
a
his
haul.
first moves.
Yeah, that was a haul of a weekend. You're right. It was around this time where he did all of it.
Yeah.
You'd have to speak to us on Jamal Lewis. I have to imagine that felt like a big deal.
He had 2 1,000-yard seasons. He was the first one since I think one of the Pruitts to go back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons.
And at the time of acquisition, it had to felt
It's 2007. It's the season of dreams.
Yep.
Like the 3rd season, it fell off. He reached the end, but Jamal Lewis was a big acquisition.
All right. So was he a free agent?
believe so.
So first year, so his last year in Baltimore, I mean, it started to fade in Baltimore. It's 3.5 yards a carry on the average the last 2 years. And then he comes here, 07, he goes nuts, 298 carries for 1304, 4.5 a carry. Then the next year he's 1,002, 3.6, and then it's kind of cooked at that point. But he is a part of the magical season of 2007, of course, which doesn't even manifest in a playoff.
Right.
But you went 10-6, and a fun season, Derek Anderson and all of it. Okay, I guess we should get to work of trying to seed these out. So,
And if we decide that we only want 8 because we're a day late because we wanted to hopefully launch this yesterday, but obviously there was a lot going on, we can only do we don't have to do all 12. We can do 8. We were just coming up with these are the ones.
No
like
offense to Chris Gardocki, but I mean
Chris Gardocki at one point was the MVP of this football team.
that tells you more about you than anything else.
Yes.
And I'm sure he's
all right. So how do you want to do
very
this?
thorough. If I'm going to do 8.
Okay.
Jameer Miller, you'd have to tell me about that one.
So
That
Jameer
was a
Miller
big
was the
one.
Browns' first Pro Bowler.
Okay.
Since the team came back, he had over 100 tackles. He had 13 sacks.
So that would be one, though. Was it a massive did it feel like a massive acquisition? But that would be more once he got here. He's a dude.
No, because he
was good in Arizona.
he had a track record. It was
a big
like
signing.
he was better than anything we had gotten in the expansion draft. It was his last 3 years. He only missed one game in 3 years. And he was good his first 2 years, but it was 2001. He played in every game. He had 14 passes defensed, 4 forced fumbles, 13 sacks. He had 101 tackles.
Okay. All right. So he's on the list. So the only
He
I
had
guess
118
let me
tackles,
ask-
85 and 101 in 3 years.
Okay, he's on. Let me ask you guys this: if you had to pick one of, because I have 7 that I feel very strongly about. If you have to
This
pick
is-
one of these 3,
I have 8.
you can have Treader, Steinbach, or Zeitler.
Zeitler.
We
Not
had
even
this
close.
conversation yesterday.
Zeitler,
I don't think it's even particularly close. Yeah.
because then he ends up being all right. So Zeitler
When we
would
signed
be my
Zeitler,
8.
that was a big deal.
All right. So my 8, in order off the top of my head, although maybe Jameer Miller deserves to be a little bit higher here. Jarvis, Odell, Amari, Jamal, Clowney.
I have Clowney 4th.
So I have him 5. So you and I
He
see
had
it
a
the same
monster
way.
first year with us.
Well, right, and it was
the former
like,
number 1 pick, Jadeveon
my God,
Clowney.
we're gonna have. Hold on a second. We have Miles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, I had to interview
felt
him from
massive.
a conference room in a hotel in
Yeah.
Isla Mirada.
That
It was that big of a deal.
Right. And then I have Conklin, Jameer Miller, and Zeitler.
Yeah, we have the same 8.
So we have the same 8. No prep, no talk about what it could be, but we have the same 8.
All right,
Yeah.
so we're doing 8.
Yeah.
I think you do 8.
Who's number 1?
I would
It
go
doesn't matter.
Jarvis,
It
but
doesn't,
it doesn't really matter.
because the 1 and 2 are Jarvis and Odell.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
All right, well then who's number 3 as I'm working?
Let's go Jarvis 1
Yep.
because he's, I think,
I'll break the
Jarvis.
tie. I would go
because
Jarvis.
he's Jarvis. Yeah. Jeez, how did we? He's doing this.
He's just going right by.
All right, so oh, there it is.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Jarvis, Odell, Amari, or Jamal Lewis.
I think Amari because you went to the playoffs with Amari.
Well, and Amari
Amari
now,
had
a single season. He's got the single game record. Isn't he the first Browns receiver ever to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons? He was a 4-time Pro Bowler by the time we got him.
Yeah, Amari 3.
I think Amari's 3.
Jamal 4, or you went Clowney 4. I could do either one there. Clowney was a big deal, man. It was a big deal.
So Jamal Lewis, by the time we got him, was
Yeah.
coming off of a good season, 1,132 yards, ran for 1,304 and 9 the first year, then 1,002, then 500. His best season was 2003 when he led the league with 2,066 yards, and he was a first-team
I
All-Pro.
think he had
Offensive
500
Player of
yards
the Year.
against us in 2 games.
But it's 3.5 yards a carry last 2 years in Baltimore. Like my hunch is that it kind of felt like he was
Maybe at the
wearing
end of-
down,
yeah.
and
And
then
it
he exceeded
Yeah,
totally.
for sure. I'm good with Clowney at 4.
yeah.
I'm good with
fine
Clowney.
with
Clowney was Clowney was a 3-time Pro Bowler, and he was Clowney. Like everybody knew Clowney. Everybody knows the famous play from
And it
South Carolina against Michigan. Wasn't it against Michigan?
was against Michigan, yeah. And it was also it felt like one of the final pieces to it all coming together.
He had
Opposite
9
miles
sacks that year.
That was another one. Didn't that happen like at the end of May, almost June?
You were on
We
vacation.
were on vacation.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It was warm and there was nothing going on in the building.
Yeah, then
and
all
we
of a sudden,
had like a.
and I think
wait,
like I was out. I mean, I don't even remember. We may have both been out. I don't know what was going on. I remember you doing it. Murata. I do remember that.
Well, I could probably
Do we feel like Jamal Lewis 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would go Jameer.
Then
6.
Jameer 6. Then I think Conklin 7.
I mean,
Zeitler 8.
He was an All-Pro.
Yeah. Conklin 7. Zeitler 8. I would feel pretty good about that 8.
No Treader.
It didn't feel like. I mean, I wasn't here for the acquisition of JC.
Yeah, I don't think
So
that
I don't
was,
remember. I don't remember being like. I mean, not compared to these other guys.
Correct.
That's why I said to me like, Treader, Steinbach, Zeitler. You tell me which one felt like the biggest in the moment. My hunch is Zeitler did.
It was April. It was right around April 13th for Clowney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I Zeitler was a big deal. Remember there was broken Albright. That was like Albright's claim of his first year doing that hit with us on the opening day of free agency. He was like, the Browns are going to get Zeitler, and then we did.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that's pretty good.
He was a monster in the weight room. That's all I remember.
Strong hands.
Corn
Love
fed
Jordans as
Wisconsin.
well.
Yeah, I'm cool with those 8.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll figure this out, and we'll get everything up and running here.
So
Within
no
the next
buys.
hour.
No buys.
No buys. Just get
Yeah,
right
that's
to
fine.
it. 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3, 6, 4, 5, and let's see how it all plays out. And then we can leave it to the great fans of Cleveland Browns Daily to determine how they want to weigh the buzz of the signing versus the production while they were there and try to find the sweet spot.
We'll get you the quarterfinal results tomorrow. On to the semis then.
So the results will be like you're gonna on the poll. You'll have to put it so it ends at like 4:30 or whatever, so that we can have the results. Talk about it during the show, but then close it.
I may let this one go. We may post this, obviously, since it's 4:15.
Yeah.
We'll put this one up probably right after the show ends.
Yeah, and then tomorrow
we'll cut it at like 3, announce it, and put the next one up at 3:30.
Yeah.
So just something fun.
Okay,
See
so
how
we're gonna put this up after.
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's go. What are the matchups? So is it Jarvis versus Zeitler's the 1-8?
Yes.
Okay, so Jarvis, the 8 is Zeitler, and
Odell,
then the 4-5.
Conklin.
The 4-5, which would be on the top side of that bracket, would be Clowney. Bless you.
Thank you.
Clowney and Jamal. Bless you again.
My God.
And then the 2-7 would be OBJ,
Conklin.
Jameer.
Oh, Jameer.
Oh no.
No, Jameer's 6.
Conklin.
Conklin, you're right. And the 3 would be
Amari. Jameer.
and Jameer. Okay. So then the 1 plays the 4-5, the 2 plays the 2-7 plays the 3-6. We're not reseeding.
No
Just
reseed.
plays out the way it
play it
plays
out.
out.
Yep.
All right, there you go. That'll be fun. Interesting to see how it all happens. You can't even wrap your head around when you got the news that you were getting Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah. You
My phone was vibrating so much it fell off of the counter. I remember that. And I was like, what's going on? And then
it was
I saw
like
that. I'm like,
6:30
holy
or was it like 7:30 at night? 7:15,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
It was just after 7 because NFL Network was live, and Joe Thomas happened to be a guest that week on set at NFL Network, and Joe was losing his mind on set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was also so fun because they had the flirtation at the combine.
Totally.
So and they both Dorse really was at full Dorse mode at that moment. Like he was very chesty, and I think he had fun with it.
Totally. He loved it.
Like our friends at NFL Network wanted the first Odell jersey for Nate Burleson, our good friend Nate Burleson. So literally I had to go to the higher-ups
right.
and be like, I know the first jersey is supposed to be for the player,
Yeah.
but we need to overnight this to New York.
Got to get this
they
to New
want it.
York because they want it. Which one was it? A white one or a brown one?
It was a brown one.
Was it a brown one
Yep.
that Nate had? Yeah,
That was beautiful.
yeah, that was crazy. And then when we launched the new uniforms, they gave a bunch of them to media, like the new uniform variety. You ended up with the Odell, didn't you?
I had Odell. I delivered
You
one.
delivered mine.
Yeah, in COVID, I delivered one to your,
Yeah,
your front door.
You had to you put it down at the end of my sidewalk because we couldn't touch. Good God.
What a time.
Feels like a blink and a million years ago, all at the same time.
By the way, that anniversary was like 6 years ago yesterday, I
the
believe.
Gobert thing
yeah.
was either
It's
yesterday
March
or
11th.
today.
It's March 11th.
It's coming up.
It will be
The
tomorrow.
Gobert press conference. I think that was either yesterday or today. The day the world stopped was the Big Ten tournament.
That's right.
I'll never forget it because they had gone they had gone out to start. It was on a Thursday. They had played the Wednesday games. Fred Hoiberg collapsed. He was coaching Nebraska, still is. Now they're good. They weren't then, but they were in one of the play-in games. He collapsed, and we're like, oh, my God, does he have COVID? And it wasn't. It was something else. And then they were going to play the noon games. And I'll never forget, the first thing to cancel was the Ivy League men's basketball tournament. And I remember thinking to myself, if the Ivies
March 11th.
That's the Gobert?
Gobert. Yeah. And that night was when we got back from Mexico. That night was when they canceled, I think, the NBA.
That wasn't that night. It came
by
after.
Friday.
It was by Friday because it was
2 days
the Big
later.
Ten thing happened on Thursday. I'll never forget that.
Yep.
The following Thursday, the Big Ten thing happened. Gobert had the presser, but the week before, the Ivies canceled. And I thought those guys, they're as connected as anybody. Like if they're saying this is going to be a problem, we got a problem on our hands.
Yep.
And the Big Ten teams went out and warmed up.
They were on the court. It was 11:30.
Yes.
Because the ACC was getting ready.
Yeah, because it was the noon tip, and everyone was on the court, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're done. Shut it down." And then we said goodbye to you on a Friday. I'll see you in a year.
Packed up all your gear.
I don't even know. I don't even know when we saw you guys again. It's a long time.
Training camp.
That year, or was that the following year? No, that was the following year.
Well,
right?
We didn't see you.
Oh,
Nathan and I were allowed to be on this side of the wall, the great wall that was built down the middle. Zagura was in there. I was in here. I don't know why they built a wall because there was no one on this side.
No, this was empty. Yeah.
There was no one over here. They took out everything. Somehow I might have finagled a microwave in here because they took out all of our – we didn't have access to anything food-wise.
Nothing. Jeez. Crazy.
Here's a little swab we're going to stick up there and scramble your brain to see if you have it or not. You have to test every day.
I remember doing that. We'd come out here and do all that. Yeah. Crazy times. We'll go around the sports world, play a little agree or disagree. Coming up next, you listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Add more fun to your fan of the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today, get 50 back in bonus bets. You place your first wager of 10 or more. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. We got a little game show. We got a little agree or disagree, Gibby, I believe, in front of us here.
Sure. And obviously this is before the Browns re-signing of Tevin Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Clay from ESPN, who literally there's a spreadsheet he posts every morning. Here, I'm gonna walk in and hand this to you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is his updated list of free agents every day.
Hello, Gibby.
Hi.
Also, real quick, poll voting is live.
Poll voting is live.
I don't have it.
Look at that. So he does it. Here you go. So he does that every day. That's a lot of names.
Yeah, and he updates it every day. So, anyways,
Good for him.
he's
That's a good job.
He's projected the offensive line for every team through the first day of free agency.
Okay.
And again, this is before Tevin Jenkins. His left tackle was DeJuan Jones. His left guard was Zion Johnson. Center was Luke Whippler. Right tackle was Titus Howard, our new tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And the right guard was Kingsley Iguakan.
Sure.
Sure. The rest, everybody else, the tackles were KT Levinston, Jeremiah Byers.
I think if you're going on our current roster, the people that would be in competition for the guard spot would be Tevin Jenkins, who's
Yep.
now back.
Yep.
Zach Zinner.
Yep.
And I even think that KT Leviston would get an opportunity at guard because I think he's built more like a guard.
I was kind of surprised that he went the way he went, and Zach Zinter was not the starter.
Well,
Sad. I don't know. I thought it was.
Do you think that we will go into this, and this is of no fault of his own, we love him, but do you think we will go into this season with DeJuan Jones as the starting left tackle? Based
No.
on the health? I just don't believe that to be true.
I don't think so
It's not his
either.
fault, but there's no way you could rely on that.
no,
based
but
on
I
the
think
injury
he's going to
history.
be one of. If you get him healthy, I think
For
he's going to
sure.
be a great swing tackle. I think he's going to have an opportunity to start games. It's
I mean,
just
he
the
can
way
be a
that it
franchise
is.
left tackle.
Yes.
It's just the health, and it's not his fault. We love him.
Yep.
I just don't think in the NFL, like when you have this injury history, that you could go into a camp counting on him to be your left tackle and not worry about it.
And I mean, we believe Whippler will be back, but you better get some people behind him.
Yeah, no, we still, yep.
Yeah, we got a lot of work here.
Still a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So that's the deal with the Browns' estimated offensive line. Around the sports world we go. The best players still available. Quarterback. Why are you looking at me like that, G-Man? Oh. Around the sports world we go at quarterback, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins. Prediction time. Where do the following players still available in free agency end up? We'll start with Kyler Murray. Where do you think he goes?
Minnesota.
Where's Kirk Cousins go?
Aaron Rodgers is going to go to Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Cousins. Is that Arizona?
They got Gardner Minshew.
And they got Brissett.
I don't think there's a starting job for him.
I don't think so either. I just don't
Does
know
he end
where
up as the
goes.
backup mentor to Mendoza in Las Vegas?
Does he want to be a backup?
I don't know that he has
Might
a
not have a
choice.
Indy?
Indy's pretty well into Danny Dimes. I mean, he could
But
start
I mean,
the
he
season.
can't. That's what I mean. Like maybe you bring him in the way they had Flacco last year. Like you get a short chance to start till Dimes comes back.
I saw something this afternoon that was interesting. Would you rather pay Kyler Murray like $1.8 million or Danny Dimes $50 million?
Kyler Murray.
Of course.
Well,
That's why. I mean, I
I
guess
mean, they
they
have
could
that
pull the tag.
opportunity to
They
do
could.
that.
Yeah,
He
they,
hasn't signed it.
they could pull the tag if he hasn't signed it.
All right, NFC East, Buffalo no, Jets no, with Geno Smith no, New England no, Miami no. AFC North,
Indy's the
Cleveland,
only
no.
one, buddy.
Baltimore. It feels like that's it.
That's it. If he wants a chance to start, I mean, it's really only there. And then beyond that, it's like, okay, I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe does he think about like Kansas City
Yep.
until Mahomes comes back? Like captain that ship for 5 weeks
you
until
could.
Mahomes
Who's
gets
the-
healthy?
Who's the backup there?
I couldn't even tell you. Couldn't even tell you.
That's what I'm like. Are we sure some of these
But
guys are going to be back?
They are behaving in a way. The Kansas City Chiefs are behaving in a way that they're going for the Super Bowl next year. Clearly,
absolutely.
So you also want to make sure that whoever is watching the shop until Patrick comes back is competent. So like that would be a spot for Cousins to me. Kansas City and Indy. And then there's no shame in losing. Like it's Patrick Mahomes. Like you get to play 6-7 games or whatever it is until Mahomes gets
For
back.
sure.
That's Patrick Mahomes, and you back up Mahomes.
Yep.
The other big wild card that has not fallen yet is indeed Trey Hendrickson. Any predictions? Supposedly he wants the divide between what he's asking for and what teams are offering is approaching $8 to $10 million. That's a big difference.
I'd like to see him.
I'd have to look at what. I mean, I don't have this off the top of my head because we're doing Browns daily, not every team in the NFL daily.
Yeah.
But my hunch would be the usual suspects. So I would think about Detroit, opposite Hutchinson. They're always in the mix for this.
Yep.
Philly lost a ton of defensive line talent.
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
So I would think about Philly. I would think about Buffalo. But they don't. I don't know if that they would have the money to pay. Philly and Detroit jump out to me. Well, Green Bay's got to pay somebody. I mean, they lost a ton of defensive line talent too.
Well, they're paying Parsons.
Oh yeah, that's right. But they could go opposite him. But I mean, the problem is he wants compensation.
Totally.
He's not trying to go win a.
The problem is the clock's ticking, buddy. There's been a lot of money spent already.
Does Spot Track update in real time? Cap
yeah,
space?
and I think Over the Cap does too.
Yes.
Chargers.
Washington. Their
Washington
D-line's
signed
good.
it. They signed.
Yeah.
They signed somebody. Adafe Owe.
Yeah, they
gave
did.
big money
Yeah.
too. He's got to have a market. Let's see. Suitors for trade.
I guarantee he's got a market, but I don't know if it's what his value is. And again, that money pot shrinks daily.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to.
The Los Angeles Chargers are the betting favorite to get him.
Oh, there you go. That's even after they got Khalil Mack back?
Boy, all that money the Raiders spent.
They spent a lot. They were still. I woke up this morning. I'm like, oh, they're still spending.
All that money they spent, they still have $50 million in cap space. The Raiders?
Says Raiders, Chargers, Cowboys, Bills, Eagles, Titans, Bucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he wants to get one big more payday. He's not trying to chase a Super Bowl at this point. He's trying to get paid one more time.
Some of the big-name wide receivers left: Jawan Jennings, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, Hollywood Brown. Okwonkwo, the tight end, is available still. On the offensive line, Chris Paul, Mekhi Becton, Rasheed Walker.
Jenkins
as well, someone to watch.
Jenkins, yeah.
Defensively, Reek Woolen, Leo Chenal, Nick Cross, safety. They've got some names still out there, but
bring back MJ. I want MJ Emerson back.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
From the weekend, something we didn't get to, the Sabres in hockey defeating the Tampa Bay Lightning. Score of 8-7. There was 102 penalty minutes.
Yep.
Given out in this one.
Yep.
Just fight after fight after fight. The fans only cared about the fighting by the time it got said and done. Like Buffalo's playing for like a playoff spot for the first time in, G-Man, how long? 15 years. There you go.
the NHL got away from fighting about a decade ago. Basically, the idea was we're not going to waste a roster spot on someone who can't skate and can't score. So they kind of got rid of it, and there weren't many of them left. There was a player 2 or 3 years ago for the New York Rangers, young guy who came up who kind of brought it back single-handedly, and you are seeing a little more of it now than you did maybe 4 or 5 years ago. There is a faction of hockey fans who love the fights, and that's what they love. And it's been a part of the sport forever.
Marty McSorley.
Yeah. But it is crazy that it's legal. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Like that in the middle of a game, like two guys can just square off and throw haymakers at each other, and it's like, okay, 2 penalties, that's it. It's nuts that's part of it.
I'm in for all of it.
Yeah.
It's free agency week in the NFL. Just as importantly, it's college basketball conference tournament week. I don't know if you got to watch it on Friday night, but the Red Hawks needing overtime against Ohio University. Miami finishes 31-0. They're the number 1 seed going into the MAC tournament. They'll face UMass to kick off the quarterfinals on Thursday, and then they'll get the winner of Bowling Green and Toledo.
They are not the favorite to win the MAC tournament.
Akron I think, is a better team.
Well, they are right now. Miami's really wounded. The Scaljak kid is beaten up, and I mean he's a Brecksville kid, and he's a stud. But he's been beat. They're really banged up. Miami is. They're in no matter what, in my view. I don't want to hear any dialogue about how they have to win.
To be
They're
in
31-0. It's enough.
Yeah.
You know what the cool thing
There's
was?
69,000 teams in now.
Yeah, there's 68 teams. It's ridiculous. Like they should get in. Akron wins the MAC. They should get in too. They both should be in.
Yep.
And I don't want them in the play-in stuff. Like
No,
they're
in.
not going to Dayton. They should be in the tournament. I've actually covered Dayton. I've covered the NCAA tournament a lot. Dayton does a tremendous job with that, but it should not be for teams out of the MAC. It should be for teams like Auburn, bottom dwellers of the Power 4 conferences. That you go play in Dayton for the right to be the 10 seed in Chattanooga.
We talked about G-Man and I talked about this the other day. Stop penalizing the 16 seeds.
It's ridiculous.
Like you earn that right to go play on Thursday or
I
Friday.
covered that once with Florida A&M. They were a 16 seed, the first time they've ever been in the tournament. Now they won. Their reward was getting Kentucky and in Columbus, but they shouldn't have had to be there. They should have just went right to the tournament.
That's right.
And that's a big time flaw. That
the last 4 in should be the ones playing each other.
You guys go play each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. It's ridiculous. So one of the things that was cool about one of a million things, but like our hotel in Lawrence was on campus. And Friday night, after we went out to have dinner, we went back to the hotel, and they had a sports bar, nice restaurant in the lobby of the hotel. And as we walked in, all the TVs were on, and they were all watching Miami, Ohio basketball.
It was awesome.
But it's a basketball town. This is what they do.
Of course.
So, like, when we got done with the Kansas State game, we get back to the hotel. Half the TVs are on Carolina Duke. There were 3 or 4 of them that were on Ohio State and Indiana. And when Bruce Thornton broke the all-time scoring record at Ohio State, a record that had held from Dennis Hopson since the 80s, and D-Hop was there, a record that will never be broken again, there were people clapping for it because they follow it like that.
They appreciate it.
So it's like Columbus on a football Saturday. You not only watch the Buckeyes, you watch everybody else who you're contending with. Here's a little stat for you guys on the weekend blitz here as we take a look at things. Can you guess how many players in Division I college basketball played all 4 years in the same school?
Of this year's senior class.
This year's senior class. 4 years, one school. 300 Division I teams.
I was going to say 10.
Say I'll go higher than that just because of the number of teams. I'll say like 55.
Meet in the middle. I mean, I kind of led you there. 22. 22 players in Division I played from the day you were recruited through your senior year at the same school.
I don't like any of it.
22. I watched a senior day in Lawrence where the place went nuts for a kid named Melvin Council Jr., who's a senior. Beamsy knows the roster front and back, and I'm sitting there asking him, I'm like, wow, he's had a great career here. He goes, Dad, he just got here. He played at St. Bonaventure last year. I said, how did he create that type of beloved in 8 months? Crazy. But of the kids who played, none of them were even guys who had been there 2 years. So, like, the senior day stuff's great. So, like, when I say no one is ever beating that record that Thornton had put down on, I'm telling you, it ain't ever happening. That's done.
Yeah.
I mean, and Hobson had that record from the 80s.
Again, like, they've got to figure out the whole transfer portal. Either you can do it once and that's it, unless your coach gets fired.
Let's play the game, though. Let's play the game. Let's say we put that on them and we say you can only transfer once. and an attorney takes the player who tries to transfer a second time, and he gets in front of a court of law, and he says, why can he only transfer once? If the judge will ask this, why can he only transfer once? Is that all a regular student can transfer? Can the coaches only change jobs once? That's why they all fall.
Then you have to put in. You have to sit out. We got to go.
But why? Coaches don't have to sit out. Why should a kid have to sit out? If a coach can go anywhere they want without sitting out and get all their money, why can't a kid get that? There's only one thing, and as you can tell, I do this all the time. There's only one. There's only one thing that I think would curb this a little bit and get back to some of the collegiate aspect of it, and that is an age limit on the age with which you can play a college sport. So if you just say you cannot turn 24 during your season of competition, you have to have this wrapped up by the time you're 23. We have this in high school sports.
Yeah.
You can't turn, is it 19? Or you can't turn 20. There's something.
Yeah,
in high school sports, there's an age limit to it. And to me, that would curb some of this. You have to be done by the time you turn 23. You cannot turn 24 in the year you compete. Because all the rest of it, as soon as you get in a court of law, they do what I just did to you, where you say, well, if little Timmy's playing violin and he's at Ohio State, and the next year he wants to go to Vanderbilt, and the year after that he wants to go to Santa Clara, and the year after that he wants to finish at Berkeley, you can't stop him. His credits transfer. If he wants to do it, he can. Why would you stop an athlete from doing that? And conversely, if we're not going to put any restrictions on coaches getting different jobs, why can we put a restriction on players? So that's why they lose in court all the time. It's over and over and over.
Yep.
So
what's going on with the Ole Miss quarterback?
The NCAA's fighting it. They'll lose again. They're just wasting money. Just wasting it.
Just when you think that's over.
That's what I'm saying. Like the age limit, I think, would curb it a little.
Yeah.
If you just said you cannot turn 24 and still compete in college athletics. You got from 18 to 23 to get it done. The old 4 years to play 5. There was a while ago where they were talking about 5 years to play 5. Just get 5 years of eligibility. Okay, fine. Whatever. But have an age limit on it, and then that's something that I think that would hold up in a court of law, is the age limit thing.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't get challenged in high school. That doesn't get challenged much. Just say, look, this is college athletics. There's an academic component. You got to have it done in 5. You got to have it done by the time you're 23. Buckeyes are going to make the tournament, by the way.
Do they have to do anything this week or no?
I don't think so. I think they're in. They're 20 and
11.
20 and 11. They're 12 and 8 in the league.
Yeah.
Who are the 4-1 seeds? Duke, Arizona,
Duke
Michigan.
lost their point guard today.
Oof, I know. I'm aware.
Michigan.
Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida would be my four.
Florida.
Yeah, I would go Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida.
Yeah, their center's hurt too.
Is Houston good?
Very.
Yeah.
The Big 12's crazy.
Yeah, it's a basketball conference now.
Yeah, it's really loaded. I mean, Kansas is the 3. They can win a national title. Iowa State could win the national title. I mean, that league is a full day.
I will tell everybody, like, if you want to go see good college basketball this week, go down to the MAC tournament.
Oh, it's so fun.
Like, you're going to see some of the best. Like, I think there will be an added thing. I wouldn't be surprised if ESPN elevates their announcing team Saturday night if Miami's in the championship game. I would hope so, given what they trotted out Friday night for the Ohio University game. I don't know what the hell that was. Yeah, probably better for you. I wanted to throw stuff at the TV. G-Man and I were going back and forth on it.
Oh, it was bad?
Oh,
I didn't hear it.
Color analyst was King Cliche.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I wonder who it was. Well, we don't need to bury him, but
it was brutal. So I think it's going to be. I think that Friday night. I mean, you could have Akron and Kent playing each other.
Well, that would be if you get an Akron Miami final, when do they play that?
Saturday night.
So they compete with the ACC final? Or the Big 12 final? The Big 10 is always Sunday because that's the last. The Big 10 screws up a lot of things, but they make sure their football teams play the last Saturday of championship weekend. They get the 8 o'clock slot, and they get the basketball right too because that's the game that leads into the selection show.
Yeah, I mean the MAC's always been like a 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock start.
Yeah, probably an ESPN2 production, I'm guessing, because the ACC final's usually on Saturday too, isn't it?
It probably
ACC
goes
or
into,
SEC?
ACC's probably at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. All right.
So,
There you go.
All right.
We'll take a look at where we stand 2 days into free agency. Coming up next, you'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet. Official sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly. Zach Bryan is bringing his With Heaven On World Tour to Huntington Bank Field on May 9th. Hear all his classics. Witness his new album live in Cleveland. Don't miss out on an incredible night of country hits. Get tickets now by visiting huntingtonbankfield.com/Zach Bryan. Is he old enough to be a classic?
I don't.
I mean, how old is his most recent? His biggest stuff is like from 2020, isn't it?
Within the last
I'd
5
like
years.
to think so.
When did he burst on? This ain't Waylon Jennings.
No,
You know what I mean?
this is not the Highwayman.
Be correct on all of this.
We're not singing Bo Cephas. I mean, what is?
Wow, what a pull there.
I mean, come on.
That's
Country
a
boy
classic
can
right
survive.
there. That's a classic.
I'd like to spit some beach nut in that dude's eye.
Excuse me.
No, but I mean, he's a massive star.
Speaking of that, you want some poll
Zach
results
Bryan
so
was
far?
born in 1996.
Oh my God. He ain't George Strait.
No,
Nope.
his first big album that made
He draws. He played.
He
he played the Big House.
was
last
2022.
year.
Okay, so when his classics are literally 4 years old.
Something in the Orange was 2022.
And Revival is
that's his
another
classic.
big one too. Like, isn't that a big hit for him? The Revival song. That was because he was discovered on Instagram, wasn't it?
Something in the Orange.
G-Man. Yes.
Revival.
Revival. Revival's like 2018.
So that's the one that he's on the Instagram.
He's looking it up now.
He did
G-Man's a fan.
his
He's good.
his first year of getting nominated for any type of awards was 2023.
Revival is 2020. COVID.
His first tour was really that he headlined was 2022.
Oh, it's Heading South. Zach Bryan was initially made famous online by the viral success of his song Heading South, which he recorded in 2019 outside his Navy barracks and uploaded to YouTube.
How about it?
Yeah.
Oh, there's that.
First time I saw him, he showed up on Yellowstone,
Yep.
like season 4 or something, and he sang Motorcycle Drive-By and
2022. One episode.
Summertime Blues. He showed up in that played those two songs. You said 2022, like
Yep.
season 4 maybe. Of
That was when he
Yellowstone?
blew up.
Yeah, and that's and guess who else was in that at the same scene that he sang? Lainey Wilson was in it.
Yep.
So that I have to imagine that show catapulted both of them
Yeah.
in terms of people being, because at that time 60 million people were watching that show every week.
Yeah.
It was a massive hit.
Got some poll results in the early going here.
Let's go.
And they'll be up until tomorrow, right when our show starts at 3 o'clock. These are the semifinals of the first topic in honor of free agency, top Browns offseason acquisition since 99. The number 4 seed, Jadeveon Clowney, getting smoked by the number 5 seed, Jamal Lewis, 82-18.
How about it?
2 minutes.
Jack Conklin is crushing the number 2 seed, Odell Beckham Jr., 68% to 32%. Amari Cooper, the 3 seed.
What did you just say?
That's
Yep.
right. Beating Jameer Miller. Yep, way to pay attention. 89% to 11%.
Let's go.
And the
Boom.
number
Put it in
1
the
seed,
holster.
Jarvis Landry, 91%. Kevin Zeitler, 9%.
Hold on. You just said
Jack Conklin, 68%. Odell, 32%. It's a 2-7 upset in the making there.
Where's our 4-5 battle?
Jamal Lewis beating Jadeveon Clowney. Jamal Lewis, the 5 seed, 82%. Clowney, 18%.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of people that feel scorned.
Well, I think that's the Beckham one too.
Clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of what is your correct answer to this?
1 minute.
Like the way this plays out. Since 99, what's the greatest offseason acquisition?
From Buzz
When you
Hype,
factor
all
all
of
of
it,
it.
it's Odell. But it's Odell or Jarvis.
And delivery,
Yeah.
buzz, hype, and then, yeah. I think it's Jarvis. The hype thing, the hype on Beckham was so crazy though that it's like if you did like Madden attributes,
Of course.
hype would be 100 on
100.
Odell, which was
I love
you had
Jarvis.
to live it. You had to live it. Yeah. Yeah. Amari probably was better than
Amari
people
had better
realized.
numbers than any of them.
Yeah, Amari was better than we all realized at the time of acquisition.
Yeah.
He really played and balled out.
Landry was a 2-time Pro Bowler with the Browns.
15.
Yeah. All right, we got to run.
Yep.
We'll have all of this tomorrow. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly.